Good afternoon, evening, or morning, Final Fantasy VI Randomizer fans. We're here tonight with another Worlds Collide broadcast. We're playing the Coliseum tournament, and we got an exciting matchup for you between dipwood and drewlith. I'm here in the booth as Cheesenator, joined by Edgeworth, my co-coms. Edgeworth, how's it going?
It's going all right. These Coliseum tournament flags are kind of confusing, but we've got two really skilled runners that are going to show us the right way to navigate them. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, we've been building onto the flags each week so far, each new round bringing more challenges. What are some of the changes for week 5 of the flags?
Side of the flags, I guess you should mention that week 4 was kind of skipped over. The big major change in that was random tiered shops. So a lot of different options you have to consider when going after your victory condition. The big change to week 5, they've reduced the amount of espers, but you need to fight 4 dragons now to get through the seal in Kefka's Tower. And there's also split experience for the first time. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of 2 and 3 person parties going on this time.
Yeah, the experience scaling makes it a little bit tougher. Unless you have 2 or fewer characters, you're going to be getting less experience than in any previous week. There have been some other small tweaks I suppose we should mention before the runners get going. Just things like reducing the amount of magics on espers, reducing the number of starting lores, some really tiny things that don't have quite the degree of impact as the changes you just mentioned. Fun fact, one of our runners tonight, drewlith, just recently set what I suppose is the record, the community record on the standard race flags of an hour and 18 minutes. So expect some people to go fast tonight.
There have been a few people that have been trying to chase that record, and it's been fun to watch for sure.
So with the shift down from the 11 to 9 espers and the 1 to 4 dragons, what are some checks that go up or down in priority for these runners?
So the big thing that I've noticed with the split experience is that the auction house just isn't as profitable this time around. Because you kind of are struggling to get the experience. Even though split experience is on and the multiplyer's been raised to 8, it's a net detriment overall. And when you're only doing 6 characters, 9 espers, even though you have the dragons in the pool as well, you're not going to be able to fight all of the dragons outside of Kefka's Tower most of the time. So you'll end up having to scrape together experience in other ways, and doing overworld or dungeon grinds is pretty slow. So if you can beat up some bosses and do some extra checks that you normally wouldn't do, that helps out a lot.
The runners should be getting started here very shortly. They've both gotten to the ready up state and confirmed their hashes, so it'll be right out the gate. In Final Fantasy Worlds Collide, you start on the airship in the World of Balance. First thing most runners will do is look at their characters, and we're getting 3 randoms today. So let's see what abilities they have. Alright, and we're off. We spawn with a Terra, Gao, and a Locke. Terra and Locke best to start the game with for their early checks. What kind of abilities we got? Natural Magic on Terra, Tools as well, Lore and Blitz on Gao, and then Locke had something. Did you see what Locke had? Went so fast.
I think Locke had Tools, so this is a pretty nice set to get started right away. Dipwood going straight for the Terra check. Drewlith is gonna grab some stuff from returners.
There are about 9 chests to loot out of returners. Probably not going to be following that with Elite River Run. While there are 23 or something ridiculous between the Imperial base here and the Cave to the Seal Gate. Just keeping my eye out for like eye-popping treasure. Seeing some cash. There was an elixir and so forth, but nothing amazing yet. Oh, there's a sniper in returners.
Snipers can definitely get you going as well. There are a ton of bosses that have the float property, so getting that 300% damage at the start, pretty nice.
Dipwood getting a little trolled by that NPC, very common in this randomizer. So you'll see runners in the early game sell off just about everything they find that doesn't either help them right away kill things or help them prepare for their endgame plan. Everything in between those gets sold for cash in order to stock up on supplies, and of course Returners has that item shop to get started with the basics like Phoenix Downs, tents, and so forth.
Drew, meanwhile, joining Dipwood so we can make life a little bit easier on the tracker.
Yeah, I only have to keep track of, I guess, which chests one may skip and the other may see, because there are some out-of-the-way checks here that you might, like, Dipwood is in fact going for 2 of the longer ones here in the Cave to the Seal Gate. There's a random encounter you can take if you want to test out your fighting prowess here, where you drop an enemy down from the ceiling, but runners usually don't take that. Red Jacket, though, that's great for resistances.
Yeah, it's funny because in this, with random tier shops on, red jackets seem to be like all the rage. Like you can buy like a gross of them in a shop if you want.
Lilith gave our starting lores and dances a check. Not really any good. The dance didn't have high percentage chance to deal like substantial damage, and the lures didn't include some of the ones you really want to see, like Clean Sweep or Arrow.
We have okay, Aquila and Chaos Dragon. Are we gonna get an early elixir here?
Are Chaos Dragons undead? Because that is not something that I knew. No, okay. Maybe this Magicite will do the trick.
Oh for 2.
Yeah, Phoenix is not going to do it either. I think we're running here.
How good do you feel about roulette against these guys? But meanwhile, we have an Aura Lance as the prize out of the Esper Cave, so not too bad, but not too great.
Yeah, Aura Lance, potential endgame gear. If you've got someone early who can equip it, it's a decent damage boost, but you don't really use much of the fight command or worry too much about your battle power in the early game outside of getting through your random encounters, which Drew is doing his best to get through.
Now, if you can get the jump command going, that would be something special. But for now, looks like Dipwood's just gonna go run and see what the Curse Shield is at and what the weapon shop owner has.
The great thing about opening on lock here, you get to check the Cursed Shield right away, which is 4 to 16 battles on these flags. And you also have a choice, usually between an Esper and an item here in the back of the weapon shop. Flame Shield, sure.
So what's nice about having Terra is you get both of them. As soon as you do the weld check, you can walk back there and get the Behemoth suit. But the Flame Shield is definitely going to be the early thing you're looking for. Drew gets a Desperation attack on one of the dragons and KOs them, so only 2 more to go.
Only 6 battles for the Cursed Shield. So either you stomach a confused berserked player for a little bit, or you find a ribbon or a peace ring to help you uncurse that. But 6 battles is not much, and that will turn into a Paladin shield, the best statted shield in the game.
I am immensely enjoying the fact that these enemies are just, like half damaging. Like we're basically Xenos paradoxing our way to Terra dying.
Yeah, what you're seeing on Drew's screen is how enemies are scaled in this game. They're scaled based on the progression, which is your combined characters, dragons, and espers, and then times 2, and that's their level. So even though these are scary late game enemies, they are low on stats and health because they are not, highly leveled. So these are actually can be won, but it's just a little bit of a slog because we don't have the damage yet either. There's a Minerva in World of Ruin South Figaro outdoor checks.
Well, we are about to have an absurdly leveled Yao if this plays out.
Yeah, one upside to the split experience is if your characters accidentally die in battle or you're not able to keep them up, no experience is going to waste. It will all pile on to whoever's still alive.
Well, we got behemoth seeds for sale, but we also have in the weapon shop warpstones and softs, which is probably the worst weapon shop I've ever seen.
I didn't know it was possible to have that stock in a weapon shop, even with random tiered. That's kind of funny. Ooh, incorrect blitz foot. That's just a lost action there. But yeah, Drew's really committing to this experience, and one super powerful blitzer could be what carries you through the middle of the seed.
Just chuck that.
So that Gao is now level 17. Oh my god. The only regret you have for hyper leveling a carry like that in the early going is that you might have missed out on Esper stats that could have been applied to them on each level up.
Yeah, I feel like Blitz is not the worst thing to, or Blitz character is not the worst thing to get a bunch of experience on. Just primarily because you're not really like, there's the imp.
Yeah.
We could do imp strats. Have you found an imp halberd yet?
I'm gonna see here if Dipwood is gonna go for the Figaro basement grind. Moogle Charm's still on, but is getting replaced. Yeah. All right. So it looks like Dipwood wants to do some routing in of that early grind, as drewlith did, but in a very separate location. We're over here in the South Figaro basement, which has encounters, so you can loot while you level.
And Rodok's a lot easier than Chaos Dragons. But Dipwood also found a drill, which is gonna be very nice throughout the seed. But yeah, the hyper leveled Blitz character, not only are they gonna get the bum rush faster, but Sabin's magic stat is awful in vanilla, so the whole Blitz set of abilities is designed around that. So basically anything is an improvement at this point.
There are a lot of really great blitzes for carrying you through the mid game. Aura Bolt is good single target damage. That's Pearl Element. Flame Dance, I think it's called, Fire Dance, is AoE fire ability that scales up pretty nicely with magic power as well. Those things will carry most fights unless you run into a Flame Eater or a Rexel or something. This is a little interesting over here. Dipwood in the South Figaro basement is clearing it from back to front after having gone to the item shop where the drill was. And so it's like, I don't know if they're used to it, but for me, like, it's always throws you for a loop when you're trying to route some normal floor backwards. This happens in other randomizers as well.
Oh yeah, like when you have to finally make your way out of waterfall. This is the one time I don't have it.
Exactly. So Aura Lance will be picked up here for drewlith. Neither player has a jumper or dragon boots, I believe, yet, so we won't be seeing the sort of synergies with the Aura Lance, but it's still a stat stick. This fight that Dipwood has found is not one you want to see early, but Landslide coming off Rage here could be enough to get through the fight. So it's the tale of two Gaos here. On the right side we have the Giga-leveled Gao, and on the left side we have a Gao that's trying to uncurse a shield and is punching its own teammates. Force armor, okay, that's cash, but also wearable until you need to get rid of it. Ooh, there's an ice shield in the Figaro basement. So that's 2 elemental shields now that our runners have had pretty easy access to. Actually, they're all in World of Ruin Narsh. The elemental shields have a really interesting property where they teach you magic the way that an Esper would. It's at a, what is it, 5x rate? Hang on. It takes 20 MP, so yeah, that's a 5x rate.
Yeah, it's a 5x, which is really good, honestly. They're also very good to break in case of emergency because they, like the rods, also ignore magic defense. And my god, the flame shield, when you break it, will do so much damage against Doomgaze.
This poor Lobo, unfortunately, not going to give anything in the way of reward, but also not going to be able to stand up to Super Gao. Monsters in the box in this randomizer are shuffled from their original location. Among them are some really, really nice prizes and some worthless fights. The high rolls are finding like offering off of Katana Soul or the gigantic, what's its name? The big brutish guy who does the throat jabs.
Oh, the Gigantos.
Yeah, that's worth a ton of experience. There are the Tonberries that give them Minerva drops occasionally, but then you also have Lobo.
Yeah. But speaking of Lobo, it actually is interesting. With Gao in the party, Drew's Chaos Dragon fight is going to be very unpleasant to run into on the Veld. You know, when you find some dried meat and are trying to get that character. So I don't know if we're ever going to see that check.
Yeah, good point. The Velt will shuffle into its encounters any encounter you've previously seen, and if you haven't seen any, it'll just be the Lobo. So if you find dried meat early, you really want to do that check before you fought any randoms. And we got a Phoenix Cave play here. It's really cool to see from drewlith. Phoenix Cave has no boss, assuming you don't fumble yourself into the dragon. But it's got a good amount of treasure on the way, and it could be any type of check here at the end, character as per item. If there's a character here and it's gating progression, you're going to be so glad you did it early rather than putting it off.
Yeah, this is one of those checks where it's like either do it early or you just don't do it at all. And it's early enough where it still feels pretty good to do it. There's some easily accessible treasure, and it's basically free other than time.
Yep. I just found just a ridiculous relic shop in World of Balance Narsh. It had Dragon Horn, Genji Glove, Hero Ring, Blizzard Orb, Hyper Wrist, Atlas Armlet. Like, it's just, that's the whole starter kit and beyond for any kind of physical carry. And yes, as Fantastodon points out in chat, we've now found a good number of the pieces for a Dragoon style character where you can put the dragon boots on anybody besides Gao, who, you know, of course needs a fight command, and then that character's fight will turn into jump, and with a dragon horn you can jump multiple times. You equip the Aura Lance, does extra damage on jumping, and you got yourself a character. So we're only 15 minutes into the run. These seeds usually take somewhere between an hour and 40 and 2 hours. Haven't seen any progression yet. Not that unusual for this time stamp, but drewlith is coming up on our next check after we've seen the Narsh and we've seen the Cave to the Seal Gate, so it might be the first runner to actually put points on the board here towards our eventual goal of 6 characters, 9 espers, 4 dragons.
Alright, so in the walk fight, we have some stooges. So Gao is going to be hard pressed to look through this, because they really have their ability.
Yeah, this might not have been, like, this might have been a good time to leave the Cursed Shield off, just so you had a fully functioning party to be more prepared for any kind of boss. The damage output right now from dipwood's party isn't great, so depending on how recently dipwood saved, you might just see a reset here. We're gonna an esper from the Phoenix Cave check for drewlith, and then check in on the World of Ruin Zen Thief. Has some mystery item to offer for 30,000+. So not with this kind of cash, I think you can immediately buy that. I just realized that drewlith has like 120k.
Yes, it's a little ridiculous.
This is a pretty good relic shop as well. Like there's some synergy pieces in there. Alright, so Doom, Scan, Fenrir. That's like the ultimate niche utility esper. Scan can help you hack your way through a bad Magimaster. Doom, of course, has a few bosses that it can target, and then Fenrir is final boss fight utility. And that's a rip from dipwood, who is no longer fighting the Stooges because was really just not prepared to deal damage in that fight.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the tougher aspects when you start without rods or with more unfriendly shops. It's just kind of hard to get a foothold at times, but you just have to find out the hard way and then go someplace else.
Alright, so back to the Imperial... Nope, never mind. Drew is taking off again. Imperial base is done. Or not. What's the play here? Saving
And going to eat more Chaos Dragons.
Yeah, actually. Okay, they spawn right here in the town. Okay, you can get randoms in the town. That makes sense. So really good grind spot found for drewlith, and as his offensive capabilities increase party-wide, these fights will go much, much faster. You can already see... Well, Flame Dance is not quite the one you want, though, because everything in this fight absorbs fire. Yeah, for dipwood, I think you'll want to see a little bit of time spent committing to getting the Ice Shield and Flame Shield to teach his characters magic, tier 2 magic, as well as uncursing that Cursed Shield into a Paladin Shield. Then suddenly dipwood will spike and be able to take on bosses, whether they be the Stooges or bosses elsewhere. You'll see the background changed there on the fight that Dipwood was taking when you dance. I believe this is modified for the randomizer, but I'm not entirely sure how dance changes from vanilla. There's a number of changes. You change the background to the place that your dance is learned from, or the type of terrain it's associated with. So it looked like Dipwood might have been fighting inside, but was in fact fighting out in the grass fields outside World of Balance Narsh. Has gotten a couple levels and is ready to take on the Stooges again, while Drewlith is suplexing Chaos Dragons.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But yeah, still gonna be hard to keep Gao alive. But I mean, you have that ice rod for early, so things should be pretty. Yeah, slow landing on lock, not fun. That's okay. We just got rid of it.
So there's very different paths that each runner has taken since the divergence from the Cave to the Seal Gate. Drew has been prioritizing levels and has been to the Phoenix Cave. Dipwood has been doing all this activity in World of Balance Narsh. And Drewlith is now going for the Tunnel Armor check. This is one of Locke's early checks. Pro Lance there. It's got a couple of treasures on the way to a convenient heal spring, and then you get one boss. Just really short amount of walking, and very easy to route in the early game. And that's Stooges down for Dipwood, who secures his first Esper, a Ragnarok. And the Behemoth suit from the World of Ruin check is now free behind it.
So yeah, really good gear up front.
This is Ultros 3 on Drewlith's side here at the Tunnel Armor spot. Taking a lot of damage so far from the Sniper as well as the Fire Dance, which does elemental bonus to Ultros, who's weak to fire and bolt. Yeah, none of the Ultros fights are going to do anything but take your time in this randomizer. They're really tame stat-wise and generally low HP required to finish. I think number 3 is probably the longest of the various fights.
Yeah, in the third one you can always skip over if you have sketch. So
trifecta complete: Dragon Boots, Dragon Horn, Aura Lance for Locke on Dipwood's side. Dragon Boots just picked up in World of Balance, South Figaro.
That's going to be real nice, especially if we can dig up an Esper that gives a bonus that sort of synergizes with it, but not super necessary. That's definitely going to be a lot better than dancing.
So two sides of the same world here. Each runner is in a version of South Figaro, but left side of your screen is World of Balance, right side's World of Ruin. They actually have unique treasure pools for their outdoor checks, but shared treasure pools for their indoor checks. This is one of the few locations that's like that, where there are essentially respawns, not really even respawns, but just different treasures laid out that aren't taken from the other. In fact, the cave, the Tunnel Armor Cave, is one such place, and there are... and the caves by Narsh, and there are just maybe a couple others where World of Balance and Ruin each have treasure stashes.
Alright, so now we're climbing the tower to Zozo, so some of the more time-consuming checks if you bounce off of them, but also pretty straightforward as well. Just run to the end, fight the boss. Not a lot of out-of-the-way treasure collecting.
Yep. Just remember to bring a warp stone with you, or the spell warp, or else you will be doing the long walk of shame backwards out of Zozo.
Yeah, which arguably takes longer than walking in.
That little crane, or whatever it is, that you can kind of cheat the last few staircases to get out with, but that's really the only upside.
Yeah, it's just ludicrously slow, and then you also have the sort of disappointment of going through your inventory only to find out, oh, I don't have any warp stone.
Alright, Ultros now being challenged by Dipwood, so we're going to get another look at the prize for this one, which I believe none of us managed to catch because drewlith dismissed the reward text box so quickly. And it's Ifrit. So Ifrit's usually a pretty easy boss unless it goes long enough that Ifrit leaves and Shiva arrives and you have to start damaging a separate boss's health pool. Ice is the fastest way through this, and we do have an ice shield that was available. I don't know if drewlith got it and leveled into it yet.
No, definitely haven't learned into it, but at the same time, Drew is sitting on, this is a level 10 Ifrit. So this non-elemental damage plus whatever you can throw out from the place as well should be good enough to take care of it. And Orlance doing a whole nothing.
Yeah, I guess if it resists...
Oh, it's a Pearl Lance, my bad.
I was about to say, yeah, Pearl Lance would make more sense.
Alright, so that's where Magellan came from.
Yeah, I mean, drill could still be found in another shop that drewlith has yet to check, but not probably going to find the one in the shop that Dipwood found. And drill, like chainsaw, pierces armor. Really, really good for bosses with finicky resistances, Ifrit being one of them. And it looks like Shiva is going to spawn, so this fight will elongate. If you can kill Shiva before Ifrit comes back, you're good, but otherwise it's just kind of this flip-flop until you kill one of them.
So I did not realize how good that Ragnarok Esper was. That is an early time to get a magic power +2.
Oh yeah, I didn't follow up and see what was on the stat. Wow, magic power +2, amazing for a blitzer, pretty good for, I don't think we have throw, but pretty good for lore and rage as well. Lots of magical power packed away in those abilities.
Well, it's also teaching Merton as well. So once that gets online, I think you're pretty good. It's just it rolled low in the learning environment.
Oh, you know, that's a great point. So we have 3 characters. There's a Minerva we've seen. We've also had 2 elemental shields, which actually already sets up our characters to either resist or absorb the elements of Merton, which is to let chat know just how powerful this is. Merton, mistranslation of Meltdown. It's this huge screen-wide AoE that doesn't split damage. Very high magic power. It's fire and wind element. Hits everything on the screen, both parties. If you can resist it or absorb it, it's just one of the highest magic DPSs available in the game.
Oh hey, we found earrings too.
Yeah, surprisingly rare on this flag set because of the random tiered shops. Sometimes you go through, 5-6 different relic shops and you don't find any. Dipwood is making the dried meat check here and gets the original Lobo fight. And it was not the right one. So yeah, needs to find a little bit more 5/8 chance for Gao's check to show up after a fight.
Oh god, this is just like Dragon Warrior 2, 2/3 all over again.
Oh, and also this formation here, dipwood's in. Gonna take it instead of like smoke bombing or running, but you need a standard formation in order to get the this check on the Velt for Gao.
Fixed dice in the auction house.
Wow. Yeah, usually you're just willing to throw money at the auction house to clear out the items that you don't want so that the espers are more likely to spawn, but sometimes you just get something that's actually good. Fixed dice is a late game item that was one of Setzer's weapons in vanilla. You throw 3 dice, you do some multiplication based on their values and your level and yada yada, and you pierce armor. You can do it from the back row, and it just deals tons of damage if you roll well. It deals more if you throw 4 of them with offering. It deals even more if you throw 8 of them with Genji Glove and offering. And it also deals quite a bit if you jump with them and a Dragon Horn.
Yeah, I mean, Drew has a ton of options now with that. Just kind of, you know, if he wants to pass down the fixed dice to lock once Terra gets situated with a weapon. But I think the real prize here is the espers. But here's another chest. It has a thunder shield in it. Oh my god, this auction has.
Wow. These are things are actually worth paying for. That's amazing. And Mog is on the Velt, so Mog Champ. Mog is actually one of my favorite characters, even though, you know, for the randomizer it doesn't provide a ton of utility. Only one check, which is the Wolf Thief in Narsh. But that check does not involve fighting a boss. You can rope it in with Kefka at Narsh, and Mog has a vanilla ability to equip spears. So if you need a jumper, getting Mog is a guaranteed way to get one.
So the controllability, not super exciting. It is definitely useful to pin down a couple of nasty enemies in random encounters, but it doesn't do a whole lot in boss fights. Alright, I was promised espers, and we got espers. Zone Seek.
So while picks up an Esper here at the auction house, Dipwood is in the World of Balance airship and using the seldom seen heal and item shop in there. Usually if you have a reason to heal and you're still looking for something unique in one of the item stores, it's a decent check. Not leaving the Velt just yet. Is this a play into the trench? It looks like it, because this trench play, while risky with a flag we haven't talked about yet, is going to be worth potentially a lot of experience. Edgeworth, what is that flag we haven't talked about yet?
So, for all of the locations and checks with fixed encounters in them, there is a 20% chance you are going to run into a boss. And it's interesting because I think Drew was trying to fish for an easy one and just got, like, Chaos Dragons instead, but yeah, you could just easily run into this character.
Inferno. You could run into Inferno. I'm not sure how Dipwood's going to handle this one. This could be rough. Oh, well, handling it with elemental resistances is one way.
Yeah, I mean, Dipwood's gear is ridiculous at this point, so just the physical damage and the shrapnels are really what you're worried about.
Yep, occasional delta hit, especially if you've already lost 1 or 2 members. Modoin though, non-elemental. Not just the damage numbers aren't quite up there yet, but if Dipwood can resist the attacks, then he will get there. Drewlith finding 2 espers in the auction house, so 2 great items, 2 espers, picks up Remove. Let's see if that has any interesting properties on it. MP plus 10, life, and haste, or haste 2, I think.
Yeah, Zone Seek with Bolt 3, I think, was the sort of the big winner here.
Yeah, once you can get up to tier 3 elemental magic on any of your magic casters, that's enough to carry you through all of the late game except bosses that resist whatever element you have, so a little bit of luck is involved, but elemental magic is great on everything in the final boss fight except for the girl in the 3rd phase.
So this is one of the, this is another reason that the 20% flag is difficult, because even if it doesn't outright kill you, like, this boss is going to struggle to kill Dipwood's party, but Dipwood is also going to struggle to kill this boss. And we're in a race against time here. So Drew finds a bunch of significantly easier encounters, that give a ton of experience, like Chaos Dragons. That's kind of a better situation to be in.
Yeah, Locke is having trouble staying up here, though, again, we're not super worried about keeping all our members up. As long as someone's dealing damage, someone's soaking damage, anyone who remains alive will get the split experience. But yeah, Dipwood is behind in the overall progression. 4 characters, 3 Espers. We got 3 and 6 over on Drewlith's side, so Drewlith is about 60% of the way there in terms of the non-dragon requirements.
Time to stop for another snack. Go through the Imperial Base drive-thru. Comment in chat, 20% chance for encounters in the fixed table to be replaced with bosses. That's correct. So, so what I said was, like, technically correct, but not descriptive. Dipwood is probably going to run into another Inferno death. Almost certain.
Yeah, there are 2 different formations. I think for most of the sequences in this randomizer that involve fixed encounters, there are 2 different possible formations, and then among each of those, it's an 80-20 between the sort of standard battle or the boss that has been shuffled in. Not shuffled in, but like randomized in. Dipwood did finish off 1 Inferno, but again, at what cost, right? We'll have to see. Hopefully these next couple battles are just standard, because I think Dipwood needs the time more so than the boss kills.
This is pretty standard.
Yeah, Drewlith just getting mountains of rewards there. That Chaos Dragon fight powered up a bunch of Drewlith's Espers that have now taught Bolt 3 some curative magic, a variety of helpful utility. Drewlith very powerful, fighting at level 18 in the progression, 3 + 6 × 2, and yeah, just going to be able to start smoking through the checks here and start progressing towards the end. There's a point at which you become powerful enough in this randomizer that you don't need to find gear, you just need to knock out bosses and hope that progression is behind them. Dipwood using this little breather of a cave in between the fixed encounters to shuffle Espers, make sure people are making the most of these fights and learning new things. Gonna go left here. This skips a portion of the cave if you don't want the extra treasure chest. Rename card being used for Terra on Drew's side. Renames Terra to what?
I kind of feel like maybe there was there may have been a gentleman's agreement here.
Yeah, very interesting Terras on both screens. We've got Terra at 69 HP over there for Dipwood, who picks up a little bit more experience on that fixed encounter. Thankfully not an Inferno in the trench, and is gonna finish it up here. Oh, nope, one more fight. Doom Dragon.
Oh boy, yeah, this one is not fun.
So this is kind of like final boss abilities on a random encounter. You're not really meant to be fighting these anytime before the late game. They can use Fallen One, they can use, heck, What was it? Oh yeah, we're just
Yeah,
yeah.
Fallen One, Southern Cross, like there's just a lot of awful things that could happen. However, Locke is just going to Pogo repeatedly. Are we
Everyone except for Locke
focusing
smoke
at-
bomb. Maybe we're just gonna power level? No, we're also gonna smoke bomb. Assuming there is, yeah, okay, 7 more smoke bombs available. So it's actually very fortunate the way that this is kind of progression has panned out here for drewlith, though, except missing the Mog here means you won't be able to rope in that check with Kefket Narsh. If you get your characters very late in the progression, like you have Esper go mode and then you get 1, 2, 3 characters to finish, they will come in at the average level of your party, and so your back characters will have levels that make them much more useful in Kefka's Tower.
Yeah, a lot of times with this flag set, you have to just really go after leveling your 4th character in sort of that whichever party is going to take 3 fights going through Kefka's Tower. And that is so much easier when they already have like level 25, level 30 levels as opposed to being at like 12.
And it's tomorrow at the Kefkat Narsh location in a, very thematically familiar icy field. Is on to the green cherry phase, so yeah, it's not normally a very difficult fight, but this phase tells us that we're getting close to killing Morrow. $4,000 there from Terra, that was pretty sick. So Dipwood's out of the trench. I did not catch the reward. I'll have to maybe check our tracker real quick for that one. This should be okay. Phoenix at Kefka Narsh for drewlith, and there was also, I believe, an Esper at Zozo, so this will be Dipwood catching up on Espers a bit.
So it looks like we had Phoenix at Kefka Narsh and then Kieran coming out of the trench. So
Nice.
yeah, all Espers all around. But yeah, Drew is kind of running out of checks to do for not the characters. So this has actually been working out pretty nicely for Drew.
Generally, you want to get like a couple of characters so you have enough to have a variety of checks available, and then start kind of narrowing down the field to checks that cannot be characters. But if you get super skewed one way or the other, it can end up being like, oh no, I've got too many of one, I've wasted time. Getting to 3 and 6 was super good, but from that point, you kind of want to see 1-to-1, one character, one Esper, one character, one Esper. A great character for either of them to find right now might be Sabin, if you want a lot of available checks with some that can be previewed relatively quickly. Setzer is a good one for just the quickness associated with his checks. Cyan would probably be better for Dipwood, because of Cyan's Dream being 3 checks, but only 1 can be a character, and he has many more Espers to go. Really quick Ifrit kill there for Dipwood. Yeah, on Drew's side, the Stooges are being fought here with much more offense than Dipwood had, but also the Stooges themselves did scale, so you had to see some of the scarier abilities like hang on, the one with the triangle that turns you to stone. Delta attack.
The Delta hit, yeah.
Yeah, Delta hit.
So Drew picks up the Ragnarok, which is also, I mean, at level 26, you're still going to get a ton of utility out of it. So that is going to be useful for Terra for sure.
Okay, so now we see the runners actually kind of shaking hands or high-fiving as they pass each other. Drewlith leaving the Kefkat Narsh check and the Welk check, while Dipwood goes up. We'll get the Kefkat Narsh check along with the bundled-in Mog Wolf Thief check. I don't actually know what the Wolf Thief is called. I just call him the Wolf Thief.
Lone Wolf.
That's it. So this is sort of a double dip for it's a double dipwood of this area, having already done the Stooges earlier. But we'll see. This will be a big reward that Drewlith never sees, and some kind of payoff. Offering would be the kind of thing that spikes your offense that your opponent might not see. Oh no, Dipwood didn't activate the Lone Wolf. I think you reset here, assuming you saved outside.
Yeah, this always feels bad.
And Drewlith is just way up there in the Esper count now. Really, really needs to find some characters. The Velt will yield a Mog. And then I guess Dipwood will show us if Mog is also getting a character if he goes back up, which he's noping out. Says this check, I'm ashamed of this check. Let's leave.
let's just not talk about
We're gonna do Phoenix Cave, which will catch up on one of the early Espers that Drewlith got, and also should be strong enough to take a dragon here. We haven't talked too much about them since introducing the flags. 4 dragons required. Phoenix Cave has one, so Dipwood's gonna get to route one in, while Drewlith had to skip it in the early game. The vanilla red dragon spot here is towards the back of the cave, and if you can send, 3 left, 1 right, as Dipwood's doing, you should be strong enough to take on a dragon. Yep, Drewlith has also gone into the trench and pulled the 20% Inferno here. But yeah, Chad is pointing out this is going to be much faster with powered up Bolt 3. That is Inferno's weakness for the main body. Going to make this a much speedier fight. In the Phoenix Cave here, there are all these spikes on the floor, which I don't totally remember how I played it in vanilla, but I remember doing the intended strats of lowering all the spikes with my other team so that the other ones could walk unhindered. But all they do is damage, right? They're not going to like block your path. So really, most people will just run, like barrel over the spikes, go down to 1 HP, and then if they need to fight the dragon, heal up right before it.
Yeah, this is interesting that Dipwood is doing this late. I'm wondering if he's trying to route the dragon check in with this as well.
Yeah. Oh, I think he's strong enough to take most dragons here. The one you really worry about until you get an excessive amounts of levels and HP in the unscaled dragon pool is the dirt dragon, who can open with Earthquake. And in some cases, the white dragon might pearl you twice off of the initial pull, which is also scary. Yeah, Drew maybe hasn't found the dried meat, because did come over here and go straight into the trench rather than checking the overworld on the Veldt for what would have been Mog. Very weird. We're at 51 minutes, and we've seen a total of 4 characters. The 3 we started with, and Mog.
poor lonely Mog.
Mog taking care of that safety save for the main party, who's doing a few last minute. Well, wait a minute, hang on. What are those HP values? Are we fighting a dragon here? I thought I was under the impression Dipwood had more levels. This is risky.
Have we seen a lot in the way of status magic? Because if we can like mute the Pearl Dragon, that's pretty easy.
Yeah. Oh, Skull Dragon's actually one of the easier ones. Exploitable weaknesses, though not undead. That flag is not on. Exploitable weaknesses does more things like status effects to you than damage as much. So this is winnable. Yeah, exploiting that Pearl weakness there with just raw casting a Pearl, that 3500, that'll help get you there, but you need to be at higher HP to survive attacks if they're coming in for 287. Condemned kind of puts a timer on us. Ooh, 3400 from the Fire 2 there for Terra, so we've got the damage, we just need to survive. Locke is confused and unfortunately is a heavy physical attacker, so this could be spooky. Is gonna jump one of our party members, I believe.
Well, this is pretty awful. It's disappointing because I think this is kind of a doable fight, but this is also going to take a ton of time.
Okay, thankfully Terra's so tanky that Locke's Dragonhorn jumps only did 60 damage apiece. I think. Well, okay, Gao has no fight command. We're still just going full offense here. Maybe Terra can attack Locke right before the end here? Or are we looking for like a shield to crack? Oh, Terra... Wait. Oh, doesn't even get the Fire 2 animation off before dying, so Gao's got to throw Phoenix down. And well, is that thankfully? I don't know. Terra has a chance to attack Locke here. Are we gonna take it? Or are we gonna revive Gao?
Just pull the weapon off and punch, please.
But fishing for outs. There we go. There's the fight. Didn't take the striker off. Probably not gonna matter though as far as damage yet. Locke only took 33, so the party's stable-ish. Oh, wait. Phoenix down, used on the boss. If the boss were killable with undead in this flag set, that would be quite something. Your remedy doesn't do it, you gotta swing. Okay, well, Locke attacked himself, so let's res Gao and we'll get back to dealing DPS. Meanwhile, drewlith is back up here on the dark? Hang on, I don't know which side of the mountain this is. On the light side of the mountain to do the Mog check. And Mog was gating just an Esper or item. Air Anchor going to be passed on for the prize, which is...
That's kind of a bummer too, because Air Anchor to this party is pretty useful. The
Magus.
Magus Rod? Yeah, that's also real nice. Real nice.
Yeah, Magus Rod's a lot of magic power out of the weapon slot for someone you don't need to be physically attacking, which is most characters. Dipwood has stabilized and killed the Skull Dragon with 3 characters up, so they're all going to get this big pile of experience and 50 MP. Yeah, that's about the only dragon you can survive with that HP pool. Really lucky pull for Dipwood, even if it was a slightly slow fight. Force Shield isn't really what you want to see because our shields are already good, but the prize is a bonus, right? The dragons are required. Hey, I know that sprite.
Alright, so we've got Doom Dragons on Drew's side, which are they're undead, right?
Yeah, these can be revivified. So unless Drewlith doesn't have any revivifies, or Phoenix Down, so he has both. His switching strategies now. Mog, I think that might be a Moogle Charm carrying Mog, because that Mog is dead and probably not coming back. I think Drew's going to stick to the 3 character leveling strats.
Yeah. So it just looks like let's keep the experience at 8/3, and we have a res Pogba. Interesting.
Oh, probably didn't have the Moogle Charm on it yet. Is now making that adjustment, and then we'll let Moogle die again. Though this is, if you ever go to like the heal at the end of Narsh here, or if you take a tent or any kind of story heal, Mog will come back. So it's not a foolproof plan, but usually it will stay dead. Dipwood grabbing Carbuncle catches up to a little bit to Drewlith with a 6th Esper. So it'll just be 2 Espers behind, but 1 dragon up. And the level difference currently favors Drewlith, though Dipwood got a pile of experience from dragon number 1. And is this simultaneous Finbabas? We're going to see some handholding here.
This is kind of not a terrible check, sure. It's really annoying when half of your party members get blown off the map. But you can find out what item is available here from this chat. You're not going to take Edgar away, are you? So there's another character for Drew. And Dipwood is also just going straight for the character, because either one is helpful.
Yep. So Drewlith, pleasing the dog fans in chat, get out your Frankerzies for Interceptor, does not dog skip. However, there was no dog on Dipwood's screen, and he did do the dog skip. Yeah, the trouble here for Dipwood's party compared to Drewlith, Dipwood doesn't have that corpse lying around, and Finbaba's Baba Breath at the end of this fight will blow away dead characters first. So Drewlith will actually go into boss number 2 with more character capacity. And there's already the Baba Breath, so not much else to say about Finbaba. Absorbs lightning, weak to bio, kind of thick in terms of HP. Narapa's a pretty good one to see with few characters. Not a high HP pool, and actually Locke being a physical attacker is going to clean up Narapa really quickly. This is Vanilla Floating Continent boss. Chainsaw. Yeah, Chainsaw is, I think, is it overall 75% to even do damage? I think it's got a pretty decent miss rate.
Yeah, it's 75%, but I mean the instant death, if you know what it works on, you can alternate between drill and chainsaw pretty effectively.
Dipwood out of here a little bit faster, even though they entered around the same time. Dogskip, of course, playing a role in that. So that being Edgar will benefit, I think, Drew a little bit more, given the current character Esper ratio. Though actually, wait, no, it's the 5th for both of them. It's just that drewlith has a raw lead on Espers. But Edgar opens up this back-to-back-to-back check in the middle of the World of Ruin, where you can do the tentacle fight that's locking down Figaro Castle underground, followed by the throne room in Figaro, and then if you still need to, go back to the cave underneath Figaro, which has a dragon to be routed in.
Yeah, so late game, this is a pretty nice bundle of checks. Early game, a lot of times you just have to route Edgar into World of Balance, and these checks feel not as good.
Yep. The one advantage to have maybe gotten Edgar much earlier would have been going to Edgar's, what do you call it? Edgar's Discount Warehouse.
Yeah.
If you have Edgar in front of your party, there are 2 shops, each 2 shops in World of Balance and Ruin that are half off. And with random tiered, a number of good things can appear in item shops besides just basic supplies. So it can be a really good way to stock up, but we're probably past the point of needing anything besides like discount elixirs, discount mega elixir maybe.
Yeah, when there are things that are potentially more useful, like your set of items to get started, your warp stones, or super balls, for instance, may be more available in other flag sets. Edgar's check becomes a lot more compelling.
And Kefka, giving us a little bit of a preview of the final boss here. We have the sub-final Kefka, who's not nearly as scary. This is the Atnarsh version, who just kind of bios you once or twice and then runs away.
But, I mean, the nice thing about this fight is if you're trying to decurse his shield, you get a free peace ring. I mean, other than that, this is just kind of a boring fight.
Lots of just randomly really nice treasures in the right side here next to this vendor, a dragon horn and an elixir. Interesting. So drewlith prioritized going to World of Balance first to check the main throne room, rather than do the checks in sequence to see if maybe if he got another character there, he could fire off 2 or 3 other quick checks to get into go mode. Whereas Dipwood doing them in sequence because he still kind of just needs everything. You can imagine if Cyan, for example, had been in the throne room, then you could just go do science checks and like forget about everything else.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some characters with some, remarkably convenient checks. Like, Sabin would be nice, because a lot of his checks are immediately identifiable. Like, you run up to the burning house and be like, oh, you're a character, never mind, good luck.
Dipwood here looting some of these slightly out of the way treasures in the path down to the castle under Figaro. What is this called? The Ancient Castle, I think?
Yeah, Ancient Castle, Underground Castle. Rage Ring, pretty good for Merton strats.
We're already pretty well set for that. There was that early red jacket, and then we've had the elemental shields and Minerva as well, right?
Yeah. But it's always good for that 4th character that you forget about that you're trying to get to viability in Kefka's Tower.
Yeah, and these characters are coming in very late. Edgar came in at a respectable level. Should have been high 20s, I would think, if only dragged down a little bit by the Mog. There's a mute with stamina on it and an Ice 3 Esper. I don't know if drewlith has that one, the Esper that teaches Ice 3. Or that might have been just acquired here at this particular check in Figaro. Yeah, the Magic and the Espers have both been really good. We're gonna have a lot of options for the final fight. Oh yeah, it's Naku in chat pointing out the Merton Magic Power +2. We got that very early in the seed. I believe that was at the Zen Thief. If not, it was at Phoenix Cave. It was one of the first two that Drewlith grabbed. And you sit on that early, and you're good to go on Magic Power for the rest of the game.
Oh, hey, speaking of Sabin.
Yeah, you know, I would have liked to have seeded him early, but sometimes the seed is just saving him for later.
Oh, God. 54 base figure with jump, too. It's just too late to switch.
He could just be the guy. Locke can do anything else. He's been in your party learning magic and stuff, so Locke could just become a role player, and you free up a relic slot if you take a natural jumper to do something.
Yeah, that's true. Like, we can always see if we can find someone to hold those fixed dice, too.
Yeah, though Dipwood did not get the fixed dice out of the auction house. That's a Drewlith only check so far. Oh yeah, people in chat saying you could jump with 2 people. You absolutely could. You could jump with 4 people. You could put on Palador. You could give 4 people Dragon Boots, 3 I guess in this case, and everyone could jump. Why not?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we do have 2 Dragon Lines, so it is entirely possible to have double jumpers. And if you send Sabin along on the path of 3 fights in Kefka's Tower, 3 fights, maybe an extra dragon along the way, that's a ton of experience too.
Yeah, this particular dragon pull from Dipwood here, the blue dragon spot in the ancient castle turning into the red dragon, really great. We resist all kinds of fire, absorb it rather on some cases, and have 2 casters of ice too. So this is just a clean fight, chipping away 3,500 damage.
Yeah, Red Dragon, if you can deal with that Flare Star, usually not too terrifying. And if you can end the fight quickly, you don't have to worry about getting blasted by Flare either.
Drewlith, grabbing these chests back here. That point in the floor where Drewlith stops, like, I don't know how you're supposed to know that. I don't know if there's a hint somewhere in vanilla, but that is just the most random floor switch I could have ever expected there to be. And it unlocks, you know, pretty significant portion of this dungeon with the dragon behind it. Does anyone know how you're supposed to know that that floor is? There's a hint, but someone does not remember where. If anyone in chat remembers where the hint is, I'd love to know.
Yeah, there's definitely a hint. Yeah, it's
in the diary. Okay.
Yeah, the sparkle on the bookshelf. So we have Drew throwing out some status effects. You didn't work here, but it's going to be real nice for the Kefka's Tower fight.
Dipwood has routed in 2 dragons successfully, and needs an Esper. Well, needs 2 Espers, but can still go up the mountain World of Ruin in Narsh and route in the Tritok check plus that dragon, which would be really efficient. Then maybe finish on the auction house, and I think Dipwood would be really happy with that routing. That would leave just 1 dragon to be killed in Kefka's Tower.
We have a suplex dragon.
Yeah, a suplex animation is just so good. Like, it's just inherently comical to see the enemy sprite go upside down and slam into the ground. Especially when it's just some, like, big hulking monster.
So that's the thing now. I think those red caps are going to be real nice to combine with a Valiant Knight. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure Drew has some designs for that as well. Doesn't even look. Knows Locke can equip that naturally.
That's actually a really interesting round out to our setup, because now we can have red cap, Valiant Knife, Locke, and you can get Sabin back in the party as your natural jumper, and you've got 4 good characters. The Valiant Knife, for those unaware, is it's a knife, so it's a physical attacking weapon. But its unique property is that its damage increases based on your missing health, and that's just a flat, like, defense ignoring damage. All of its damage, in fact, ignores defense. Really high power potential for late game. If you can jack up your character's HP with things like Red Cap, Green Beret, HP Espers, Muscle Belt, and so on, you can get 2,000 missing health, then you're dealing an extra 2,000 per hit. Really powerful late game strategy.
Okay, so this is something, 2 checks that I see bundled together a lot, taking out this dragon on the Narsh Mountain along with the Tritalk check. So Tritalk is only going to be an item or an Esper, so it fits very well into dipwood's routing.
The only thing that could make this more efficient is if we had the fluffy Yeti himself, Umaro, to go back to his cave for maybe our final Esper, but he has not been found yet. Again, still very sparse on characters in this seed, and we did all of Edgar's checks and didn't get another character. So where does that leave us? There might be a character on Leet River, but there's enough checks available that, as you can see, drewlith is at 6 and 9, so you won't need to do that sort of thing to get into go mode.
Yeah, at this point, no one is going to do Leet River. It is, and especially like in this flag set too, with the boss potential, that is just like almost certainly going to be like the death of your timer.
Actually, so interesting. Drewlith's doing the Opera House Dragon here. I didn't consider that, but Dipwood actually could get just 4 World of Ruin dragons taken care of before going to KT, and actually not have to worry about routing those in with a minimal party and potentially taking on more risk with a few characters in KT. Alternatively, though, routing in the dragon there piles on more experience to 1 or 2 characters who you might want to scale with an Esper or learn some extra magic.
So this is a dragon that definitely can get muted, but it can also get completely detonated by high power magic. So I think that's the tack Drew is taking here.
Yeah, White Dragon's slightly easier pull than the Storm Dragon, generally, just because of the HP. Storm Dragon is very high health. Storm Dragon has an exploitable lightning weakness. White Dragon, I believe, has no weaknesses, but yeah, the mute really just kind of neuters this fight.
Go with the double cast. Somebody's gonna die.
Yo, Rip Terra.
We're gonna try to metamorph the white dragon.
Locke just doing all the work.
Yeah, so unfortunately that is not like the most even distribution of experience, but that is a ton going into 2 characters, and in fact that looks like max going into 2 characters. Another Minerva.
Yeah, and that's that. What level is Gao? Gao's only 37, so everyone else managed to catch up to Gao, who had the ridiculous lead early. If you remember, Gao was 17 while Drew's other characters were 3. And that's Kefka Tower requirements done. Go mode for Drewlith at 115, diving Kefka's Tower. Really good pace.
Yeah, Drew is at this point just going to solo the other 2 dragon fights.
Yeah, makes sense. Each of Drew's characters individually are very strong and very safe. If you can walk in with like a Minerva and deal 3,000 to 4,000 a turn with anyone, you can take a dragon, and if you're dealing more than that, then it's gravy. So let's tell the viewers out there a little bit of the dynamic of Kafka's Tower. Like vanilla, you go in, you have to split your characters into 3 parties who will go down different paths that assist each other in solving various puzzles to let each of them progress. There are required boss fights to get through this tower on your way to the final fight with Kefka. There are more total fights on the right side with the one that would be Inferno and Vanilla, and then you have an option of sending either Party 2 or Party 3 up through the middle where you would fight Guardian in addition to a statue. So usually players will have one stronger party fight both Inferno and Guardian, and then eat one statue each for across the 3 parties. Oh yeah, Vanilla Tritalk over here on Dipwood's screen.
Plenty of fire 2 to go around though, so easy enough fight.
Yeah, Tritalk is like Ifrit. It's one of those fights where it's so trivial if you just have the weakness ready to go, and otherwise you're sitting there like hacking away for 0 damage or very minimal if you can't summon that up. Defense breaking is very good there, so drill, of course. This is a fixed dice sitting around in KT, right in path. Not a
It's,
check that though.
It's cool. Maybe we'll find a Genji glove in that spot in front of the Poltergeist statue.
Yeah, there were Genji gloves in, I want to say World of Balance Narsh, but I don't think drewlith got any of them, so...
I mean, honestly, fixed dice before this fight is pretty solid.
Yeah, either way, it's going to let your side character deal some damage.
Oh, we have the jokest of dragons.
Yeah, 2 of the dragons in the pool, the Skull Dragon and the Gold Dragon, are intentionally weaker. They're in the vanilla Kafka's Tower, and they're meant to not be fought with full parties. That said, that bolt damage did a lot. If you don't have the resistances to lightning, this can be a dicey fight.
Yeah, I mean...
no one else can make a dicey fight.
Fixed dice. But we should have... I mean, we should have Thunder Shields at least. Or the Ballad Shield available. But, yeah,
I got a Cure 3.
Yeah, I don't think Drew bothered to decurse that, so... Yeah, this could be not so fun.
Late, well, relatively speaking, Sabin came late, but this is a late collapsing house check for Dipwood, trying to get into go mode here. If this turns out to be an Esper, then that'll wrap up everything. Grabs an Aegis Shield in a slightly out of the way check, but this is a shield heavy seed. There's been multiple elemental shields, Paladin Shield, Aegis Shield, and so forth, so...
Yeah, I think at this point, Drew was trying to keep Mog alive, and it just became a liability.
Yep. Merton heals Gao, deals a ton of damage to the Gold Dragon. That's a reliable way to finish off the fight. And what does Terra get from this little imp NPC? It's a... Hold your breath. Genji Shield. Dipwood is not in go mode, unfortunately. We'll have to go do another check. From this position in World of Ruin, I almost assume it's going to be the auction house because you're so close and it's such high odds.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't feel good.
Ooh, interesting. Gonna risk bringing back up Mog here. Could be a little bit slower, but the payoff is more experience on a side character. Merton can't Merton, so you're gonna have to fight. Fixed dice, that's a good roll. 2088 damage. Gold Dragon begins to store energy. I don't know what this routine does.
It's not one you see often, but I think, you know, unless we see a lot of ones, yeah, Drew should have this.
Nice. That's 3 of 4 dragon requirements for Drewlith. The dragon requirement is not checked until you try to enter the door up towards the Guardian fight in Kefka's Tower. So you can do these as your last few requirements. Dipwood is opted into the Imperial base. you get to know really quickly whether or not this is a dead check, so it's a pretty good way to clean up your go mode.
Well,
And
this is a boss fight, but nobody cares.
yeah,
Ultros.
Ultros 3 was just randomized into the, or is this 2? I think this is 2. This looks like the Opera House one was randomized into a fixed encounter.
Which is pretty alright.
And alright, well, it's not a dead check and it's not a character, so that means it's an Esper. So, this will be go mode for Dipwood after I think 3 more random counters. Ooh, nice setup there. Drewlith throws the red cap onto Locke, who gains 1000 HP just in time to deal a lot of extra damage for this fight. It's the tentacle monsters. Varied HP and resistances across these. There's one that absorbs lightning, one that absorbs fire. I think they might all absorb water. At the very least, you can't really get these all down with the same element of magic, so usually physical focus, and especially on the bottom right one, helps you if you want to deal with, say, Merton.
So we've seen Ultros and we've seen the... Oh, this one is... Oh, this fight isn't actually terrible either. It gives a decent amount of magic points. But yeah, Dipwood is gonna walk out of this check with a ton of extra experience.
Yeah, experience can be one of those things that wins the day, depending on the fights that are in Kefka's Tower. When you've got people that have to solo certain hard boss fights, sometimes you just need a big HP pool in order to get through them quickly, or at all. By the way, there's some great Twitch emotes we could be using, not only for the Ultros fights, but also for these tentacles. I think it's like Squid 1, 2, 3, and 4.
There are some people that have just straight up Ultros emotes, which are pretty great.
Ficta did not assemble a cohesive octopus there, or squid in chat, so that's looking more like squid sashimi, which is what Drewlith is making out of these tentacles. Brianna, our restreamer and tracker, making a full double arm squid there. Alright, Dipwood is in fact taking on the Opera House Dragon, so it'll be no KT Dragons for Dipwood, 2 KT Dragons for Drewlith. Very different approaches to a pretty core part of the flag set. And a Zarina gown that we absolutely do not need with all this armor in KT there.
Yeah, so Dipwood's going to be able to just rip through KT, and yeah, this is a most unpleasant fight to deal with too.
Alright, this Dirt Dragon probably about to kill Sabin. Yeah, unless you float, that Earthquake is dealing a ton of damage to just about everyone. Here's one armor, I think it's Gaia gear that absorbs Earth.
Yeah.
And you can also equip a ring that gives you float, but aren't too many options to avoid that opening Earthquake.
Yeah, Dirt Dragon also really annoying with the amount of counters that it does as well. The Home Tusk is just so much physical.
Yeah, the jumping is so overpowered when you think about it. Just like the ability to avoid attacks if you're off cycle from the enemy. Drewlith showing that off in full force here, getting 4,200 a hit with these Dragonhorn jumps, and there goes the Dirt Dragon. So that is go mode, actually just about simultaneous go mode for both of our players on screen. Just got it in different places, and Drew has a movement advantage into Kefka's tower.
So Drew also picking up a flame shield might be helpful for Merton strats, but also for just exploding in the last fight. The Magus Rod also good, but I think we have one of those already, so no big deal.
And you can see also Drew managing the HP there on Locke, didn't heal to full, only at like 2,000 out of about 5,000. So there'll be an extra 3k per Valiant Knife hit. Each of these runners went into KT with just 6. That is, of course, the minimum. That lets you have sort of one lead or strong character and one Moogle Charm Mule through KT, but it is also slightly dangerous. Anytime you have just 2 in a party, one of them dies to an AoE early, then suddenly you're vulnerable to things like Delta Hit. Or Doom is a big one.
Yeah, someone asking in chat, have we seen Magimaster yet? No.
We haven't seen any of the bad bosses, really. I don't think we've seen a statue, we haven't seen Doomgaze, we haven't seen Magimaster, Rexel, like...
I mean, we saw Inferno and Serpent Trench, which
That's
was
true.
Which was
But that's
pretty...
not taken out of the boss pool, right? Or no?
Yeah. So we can still see Inferno, yeah.
Alright, what's it gonna be behind door number middle? And it's Doom, so this is a French vanilla statue, I think?
Well, I mean, it's in the Guardian spot.
Yeah. Doom, some of the major parts about this fight, first of all, Resistance's Doom absorbs ice, and let's see what else. I'm just going to pull up the stats here so I'm not talking out of my behind. Alright, absorbs ice and poison, is weak to Pearl, and there's this first phase where you can sling spells if you'd like.
Dipwood doing a little dance in front of the fixed dice chest.
Heck yeah. Doom absorbs ice and poison, weak to Pearl. In this first phase, which is already over, you can target with elemental magic, but then Doom puts up a reflect shield for the second half and starts randomly assigning himself an invulnerability. So physical damage, really good for getting through both phases, but especially the second.
Yeah, Valiant Knife is not an element, so it is just going to absolutely obliterate. Stop, he's already dead.
Yeah, I would say overall Doom is probably the least intimidating of the 3 statues, regardless of which game time you meet, but you really do have to make sure you line up the damage types. That's the most important. Yeah, the great thing here, so drewlith is jumping with a Valiant Knife user. You can keep a jumper in a much more precarious HP total. And there's an air anchor just for free right at the end, by the way.
Yeah, speaking of free.
Yeah, tunnel armor. Yeah. Woohoo! So from a statue into one of the earliest boss fights, tunnel armor has such a low HP pool. This fight will be over as soon as Locke lands. What I was saying is your Valiant Knife user kind of lives on the edge and at that low HP total, but if they're up in the air half the time, they're not getting hit by nearly as much. The reason we're so excited about that air anchor, for the tools user in the party, that's a way to instant kill the left hand of the first form of Kefka and the tools thing of the second part of Kefka.
Yeah, a lot of times you're kind of scrambling for some sort of way to instant death those two, because they have fairly sizable HP pools, and if you don't have to deal with them at all, that's certainly preferable. So like Odin's or Shote's, Doom's, Exone's, whatever. But Air Anchor is super reliable. All you need to do is just let them get one more attack, and then they're done.
Yeah, so pace-wise, Dipwood is pretty much exactly 3 fights behind Drewlith, who has just pulled Magic Master on the left, waves goodbye to Edgar, but is going to be jumping with Terra What does Terra have equipped?
So Terra has a Minerva equipped, so this should be fine. It's just a matter of does the Doom phase of Magimaster script show up?
Well, what I'm wondering is, like, Magimaster has super high physical defense if this isn't piercing. Oh, is this fixed dice? Never mind, we're fine. We're fine. Yeah, okay. I thought this might have been Aura Lance, which would have been a concern, but fixed dice and Valiant Knife can make. No, was that? Are you sure?
Yeah,
that didn't look like dice. 99. Can you really roll 99?
That looked like real bad dice.
Was that triple ones on the second roll?
I think so. That was triple ones buffed by a jump.
Oh my god. Okay, we're fine. Yeah, so a lot of the bosses that we could have run into that would have been of concern, like Magimaster in the late game here, really negated by having the late fixed dice pickup plus the pre-existing Valiant Knife.
Oh, is that gonna heal Magimaster?
Oh wow! Oh, lucky. Yeah. Magimaster actually outpacing this damage. That's. I mean, we just need some good rolls, right? Just get us a few 5s and 6s.
I mean, also missing the status portion of the fight, pretty good. Well, there you go. Just need a couple more of those. I guess it's also really nice to get this Mega Elixir as well.
Yeah, Mega Elixir is such a good out for the final fight. You'll often see it saved for Fallen One if no AoE hailing is available, but if you run into trouble with like Meteo spam, that's when you can pull a Mega Elixir out of your back pocket and save your fight. You will take it every time.
Yeah, if you've mistimed your hits on rest or your HP count, that is your get out of jail free card.
Okay, Magimaster just disappears like a regular enemy, doesn't have that famous boss crack and fade away. And Dipwood is pulling Doom at the Guardian slot, so still 3 boss fights behind. Actually 3? 1, 2... Yeah, about 3. So really it's going to take either some catastrophe on the final boss sequence for drewlith, or a wipe there or on this right side boss. I mean, wiping multiple times on this right side boss. It would have to be like, surprise, Doomgaze, you're dead. Or, well, actually, Gao is level 40, so, Doomgaze opens with...
Oh, Dipwood gets the freeze.
Oh, nice. Oh, wait, sorry. Dipwood frozen. I was saying nice to the Ghost Train pull for drewlith because sneezy fight. Not nice for Dipwood, who has both characters frozen by Northern Cross. That's very unfortunate.
And with, well, there's instant death Doom. Ghost Train.
Good night.
We removed the ghost from the ghost. How?
Yeah, unsure. All I know is that we were not set up with the right configuration to suplex the train, so sadly it'll have to wait for another seed.
Yeah, this is about the worst because not only is this awful, no one has innate haste from like Marble Shoes, and this is speed 1. So
yeah, the other thing is this being the Guardian spot, it means that Dipwood's last save was at the Inferno spot, so if you reset here, you have to redo all of that movement. But I mean, maybe it's better than waiting for Northern Cross spam. I don't know. Oh, nope. Okay, we're back to action. We're good. Merton's coming out. This fight should go smoothly from here. And at 1 hour 35 minutes, drewlith is pulling the final boss. Very involved multi-phase boss sequence. Usually takes about 10 minutes minimum, depending on your offense and your ability to recover or otherwise match up with the disables and the tricks that this boss can pull out. Doom is down for Dipwood. But here we go, Phase 1. Edgeworth, tell us a little bit about the interesting facts on Phase 1.
Alright, so the face hates fire, gets a ton of damage done by it. Left side long arm can be done in with instant death, so we see the air anchor getting pulled out there. You want to kill the face and the long arm first, because if you do it in other orders, you're going to run into very powerful counters, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah, the death counter for the face is Quake, which, as we saw from Dirt Dragon, that's a very powerful spell. And the left hand does a series of very large physical attacks. I can't remember their name. If killed last, or yeah, if killed last. But the right hand, I guess perspective is the thing. It's the figure's left hand. We'll just call it the short hand. The short hand has no death counter, so always want to do that one last.
Yeah, the shorthand is just a jerk in counters all the time, so it's one of the reasons why everybody's in the back row, for sure. You know, unless you're lucky enough to have a snow muffler, and then you just don't care.
Yeah, Locke took it to the face there, but honestly, that's just going to power him up for the next phase. Sometimes you'll have a Valiant Knife user who needs to be in the front row to deal all their damage, and they become very vulnerable in these first two phases. But Locke, being a jumper, can sit in the back row.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying too. I've definitely lost powerful characters due to crits from that large hand. So let's see, we're gonna mute magic in the second phase, so we don't have to deal with that. And then air anchor tools, and yeah,
Locke just took 300 of his remaining 350 HP and blocked, and had a weapon block there. So jumps up in the air with 58 HP. That's going to deal so much when he comes down.
Locke is getting some really nice dice rolls too.
Alright, jump strats on Magimaster as well for Dipwood, so going to be a straightforward fight there as long as Magimaster doesn't weave in a Doom or something when Dipwood comes down.
That is a deadlock, but we were ready for it. Ooh, okay, Doom Tusk miss, which is very nice, because getting a character zombie when you have all your commands queued up is awful. Just so awful.
Yep. There are a lot of dangers on this phase. One in particular is that tiger face on the bottom right. If it gets down close to lethal range, it can start zombieing your party, and that can be really difficult to recover from. Looks like Hit is already dead, coming out with a 10-hit death counter.
So I'm kind of wondering what Drew is trying to set up here. Are we going to have Locke in the air for the next phase of the fight?
It would be pretty sweet to just start phase 3 and have your jumper come down and insta-kill the girl.
No, we're just going to crack the Mega Elixir right now so that Locke doesn't drink from it.
Okay. Speed and power. Don't heal the Valiant Knife user, just deal... Oh my god, what is this? That was like the entire HP pool of magic in one jump. Well, one series of jumps.
Dipwood, meanwhile, through left side statue. No big issues other than getting totally frozen.
Yeah, so just one more statue fight for Dipwood. On to phase 3 here for drewlith. Has a lock right where you want him. Heck, if a whirlwind comes out here as the opening from rest, then that would further lower Locke's HP, but not be potentially lethal. Merton, though, I think everyone in the party is fine with this. Yes, everyone in the party is fine. Free heal if if Drew needed it. There's the Pearlwind. One of the reasons that you want to kill the top left character, the girl, first is because the Pearlwind for the heals. The other is the revive on rare. Never want to see that. The Moonsong ability from the Fenrir Esper will give the party image, which will help them dodge physical attacks. You're mainly looking to counter Calmness, which is the death counter for Rest, which is an instant death physical attack. So Fenrir, one of the best things at preparing for that. Dipwood finishes off the Ghost Train, easy peasy. Gao will take all the experience there.
So I think that with the way everything worked out mathematically, Mog getting pasted with the W win. There's a train too. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, this isn't the worst set of people to get trained though, because Terra is up in the air. Oh, but the Cure 3 gets denied. That's a little unlucky. Terra needs to do a lot of damage here, by the way. Okay, we're fine. Oh, maybe we're not fine. Now it's the Meteo spam phase. Mog, it misses Mog. Thankfully, Meteo's very inaccurate. Misses Mog.
Yeah, so this will be the calmness phase for sure. And it was a double, so good thing we had protection.
Mm-hmm. I think it could have theoretically hit Luck there. I didn't see the image status on Luck, who might have been up in the air when Fenrir went off. But regardless, making it to phase 4 with all your characters up bodes very well. You just need to deal a ton of damage, have a heal to answer Fallen One, and then try to not get yourself ultima countered in the last few thousand hit points for Kefka 4. Who has 62,000 HP total. So this is about the gap you would have expected with the 3-boss lead for Drew. Drew's pulling Kefka 4 as Dipwood pulls the whole series of fights. Alright, so there's the... Oh, interesting. Cured before the Fallen One. Not sure if that was entirely intentional. Maybe slight miscue of actions there. So that Cure 3 got undone. Everyone back to 1 HP. Another Cure 3 is coming out. Might have also just been queuing 2 Cure 3s for safety. So most characters back up above the 2500 HP threshold. We're safe from a number of attacks. Goner would not kill anyone here as long as Locke is up in the air. There will be a point at which Kefka is like holding out a face. There, this is it. The end comes Beyond Chaos, holds out the face, starts charging Goner. At this point, you're free to pile in as much damage as you want without fear of any kind of counters. So it's the best point at which to finish off Kefka. Cracks the Thunder Shield, you don't need those anymore. Cracks the Flame Shield.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's gonna do it. Let's check the official time here. Drewlith has finished the race in first place with a Discord race bot time of 1 hour, 43 minutes, and 59 seconds. Get out your GGs in the chat for Drewlith, who will advance. Yeah, that's a fantastic time on these flags. Very, very well executed run. Started with the big pile of experience on the Chaos Dragons early, continued through the mid game with great gear pickups, and then just the cherry on top with that fixed dice in Kefka's Tower. Now let's turn our attention to Dipwood, who is on the first form here. Again, same sort of principles, playing around the death counters. No harm, no foul on the first form is on to the second phase. Some cool properties on the second phase we didn't get a chance to touch on the previous time around. Hit on the right side, weak to poison, can also be stopped. Tools, if you don't instant kill, is weak to lightning. The Tiger Face, who you want to kill as fast as possible, is weak to ice. And as we did see in Drew's case, you can mute the far left magic, who this will be after the Doom, I think, yeah, it'll be a mute onto the magic portion on the far left. Magic is pretty well not worrisome once you've got the mute out.
Yeah, and it's usually like the the quarter into Merton that you're worried about going into the next phase of the fight. But I mean, we're all spec'd out for Merton strats, so yeah, go ahead and cast that rest. That's cool.
Yeah, Merton, you just, even if there are only 3 or sometimes even 2 of the enemies up here on this phase, Merton is just such efficient damage to spread across this many bodies. It does not split. So it's a great way for quickly chopping down the 30, 40,000 HP totals on these figures. Only thing you gotta watch out for is like all of their death counters spawning simultaneously. We will have Drew in here shortly for an interview, pending a couple technical audio issues getting worked out. Alright, Bolt 3 comes across the party, does not do much damage. We've got some resistances and just high magic defense overall. Gonna need to ether. Guess we were a little short on magic power, and casting Merton, of course, your HP, or sorry, your MP is gonna drain very quickly. Merton's a very expensive spell. Man,
well, there's 10 hits, but Gao has 10 hits worth of HP, so it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, and Merton, if it were needed to be healing here, was healing for 5,600 on 2 of Dipwood's characters. Like, that is, no matter how much, even if you've leveled to like 70, you're basically getting a full heal there. Okay, so you'll know once magic is dead when the quarter or dispel counters come out that aren't muted, because those actually break through the mute status. And all right, or it's just dead, I guess. And we are joined in the booth by Drewlith. GG, grats on the win, and welcome. What do you have to say to the fans?
Just GG, I guess.
Nice, nice. We're here watching Dipwood clean up the last couple phases of Kefka. You had a really clean fight, no major hangups outside like a train counter and maybe a Meteo coming out that were worrisome.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so it seemed like you were enjoying those Chaos Dragons and Aquilas as well. Took a little while to get through the first one, but it was certainly worth it, supercharging Gallop.
Yeah, so I was a little concerned. I knew I wanted to grind a little bit early before dipping into freebie checks. I was kind of looking for something a little bit easier than that to kill, but I knew they gave a lot of XP, so I just kind of committed, and I think it paid off, fortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you were able to come back to it a couple times as well when it was a much easier fight, so even though it took you a little time to get through it the first time, the subsequent times were not difficult at all.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a pretty good, consistent source of EXP.
Yeah, it seemed like your routing for some of the fixed encounter locations was a little bit more favorable as well. Not only did you kind of stay at the 3 characters for a while, which seems to be preferable, you also ran into Inferno in the trench a lot later than Dipwood did.
Yes, I mean, with these flags, avoiding fixed encounters until later is probably best. The fact that the seed was really weird. Terra's checks had like a few characters, but they didn't really go anywhere. Like they didn't lead into other characters, except for maybe Edgar and Sabin. I bet that's what really breaks open the seed. But I didn't get that until that was my last character. So yeah, you would have had to do Mobliz early, and Mobliz early is also a little scary. So I was down to 2 checks left. It was either Mobliz or Elite River, and I'm like, well, obviously I'm gonna check Mobliz. So.
Just quickly here, Dipwood did manage to make it through from Kefka 3 to 4 with nobody going down to Calmness, and opened the round with jumps coming down multiple times on Kefka's head. Looks to be in very solid position to win this fight. Gao's got enormous amounts of HP. We're going to hit the fallen one here and respond with... do we have the Mega Elixir from Magimaster? It should be somewhere at the bottom of the inventory. There it is. So yeah, everyone's safe. People are still rocking some images as well. This should be a quick, clean fight. Drew, wanted to ask about your early-ish play to the auction house. You cleaned up.
Yeah, I was so surprised because I thought the 10,000 GP item there, that Thunder Shield, I thought that was going to be like a check reward. But just like for the heck of it, I was like, you know what? No, let's check it again just to be on the safe side. And I was so surprised when he said there was glowing stones still available. So all 4 of those auction house items were incredible.
Yeah, and that really accelerated you, kind of in an imbalance towards Espers. So we were a little worried that you might end up at 10, 11 Espers, something like that, before finishing all your character checks. But the seed really played favorably and gave you those back-to-back Edgar Sabin late to let you round it out to 6 and 9.
Yeah, the thing about these flags is typically I'm not that worried about characters because you only need 6, and so I focus on the Espers. But I was getting a little worried there too. Like, yeah, I was like, I might be getting way too many Espers here. Hopefully, I find this character. But at least once you hit one of the requirements, you can sort of dip out of checks at that point. So it'll make some checks quicker. The faster you can get up to like 9 Espers or 6 characters, like you can warp out next time you see like a character or something or an Esper. So.
Absolutely, and that is GG for Dipwood, who finished the race second in a official time of 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 45 seconds. No problems there on Kefka. Finishes the fight basically with full HP. Kefka disintegrates into the sky. So there you have it. The results of this race are conclusive. Drewlith will advance, but we will also ask Dipwood to come in for an interview. Meanwhile, we can keep talking to Drew.
Oh yeah, I'll probably be heading out here. I think people are probably they're probably excited for the jump strats. That's some rare footage of me using jump strats, so enjoy it.
Yeah, that was a very jumpy seed.
Well, I mean, if you don't have offering, it works pretty well with Valiant Knife, right?
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. So, yeah, it was pretty fun. I think the jump animations really are slow, but in this case, I think it paid off just because the damage was there. So, and yeah, I think I'm gonna head out. Thanks everybody. Thanks commentators. Thanks Restream team. Thanks trackers. Thanks Atmotech. Thanks community. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks,
it was a
Drew.
blast.
See y'all later.
Looks like Dipwood has declined an interview tonight, but wanted us to let you know that he did not expect to make the top 12 in this tournament starting out. The competition here very, very fierce. Making any progress beyond your own expectations in a tournament certainly feels good and sets you up great for the next time there's a competitive event within the community. So really glad to have Dipwood here put on a great show for us tonight. Both these runners putting up wonderful times on a difficult flag set and making for a really entertaining Final Fantasy Worlds Collide broadcast for the community. So with our interviews concluded, Edgeworth, I guess we should wrap up. Do you have anything else to tell the loyal Worlds Collide viewership here?
No, just keep an eye out for the race that's coming up tomorrow. Let me check that real fast. But in the meantime, thanks to Brianna for doing the tracking and restreaming as well. A lot of hard work behind the scenes, so we really appreciate it.
And you can find, let's see here, Friday, that is tomorrow, on Speed Gaming. I don't know which Speed Gaming network, but 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll have another match in this tournament, which is Lock versus Doesn't. So stay tuned tomorrow to the Speed Gaming family of networks for more Worlds Collide action. And with that, everyone, have a good night.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one.